Every August, the advice writes itself. New iPhones land in September, so unless your phone is dying, wait. Most years, that default calculation is correct. This year, it could steer you badly wrong, because three distinct supply chain and market factors are moving at the same time. First, reports indicate Apple is splitting the iPhone 14 launch across two entirely different seasons. Second, a memory chip cost squeeze is inflating electronics prices globally, and it has finally reached the iPhone production line. Third, the September event may be headlined by a completely new, ultra-premium product tier, a phone that folds. Because of these variables, the standard advice to wait has shifted. This year, that reflexive pause puts you on a collision course with a choice between a much longer timeline or a significantly higher price tag. To find the right move, we have to look at what we actually know. For over a decade, Apple has followed a predictable rhythm for their September keynotes. Apple hasn't made a public announcement, but historical data points to September 9th. They have a long history of avoiding the Tuesday immediately following Labor Day. Then we have credible reports. Multiple independent supply chain sources agree on a split launch timeline and the introduction of a new 2-nanometer chip for the high-end models. Beyond that is the noise. Color rumors, spec sheets presented with total confidence, or speculative camera tech. These shouldn't influence your decision right now. The reality of a split launch is the single variable that changes the calculation. Your best path forward depends on which specific iPhone you are looking for. Let's look at the friction facing the everyday base model consumer who is instinctively holding out for September. If the current reporting holds, next month's keynote belongs to the high-end Pro models and the new foldable. This timeline compares release windows. The top bar shows the 18 Pro and Fold launching in September. The bottom bar shows the standard 18 arriving in spring 2027. That means signing up for a 7-month delay. Purchasing the current iPhone 17 today offers immediate reliability and the same long-term software support through iOS 27 and beyond. Apple's reported rationale for this split is a matter of logistics, decongesting the event and managing limited component supplies. For a base model buyer, the decision to wait for September actually translates to a wait for March. The iPhone 17 offers the same years of software support without that 200-day gap. If you are a Pro-tier buyer, you have a different calculation. You are moving toward an industry-wide price shock. The cause is the hardware supply chain. Memory chip costs for manufacturers like Apple have more than tripled over the last year. The Wall Street Journal reports that these component costs could push the iPhone 18 Pro's starting price to approximately $1,399. This comparison matrix shows the impact. While the iPhone 17 maintains stable component costs from its launch last year, the inflated memory costs in the 18 Pro are expected to add a $200 premium to the price tag. The iPhone 17 is in a unique position because it launched in a pre-shortage market before these specific memory costs reached their current peak. Buying a 17 today secures current generation hardware at last year's baseline prices. Pro buyers must decide if the performance of the new 2-nanometer chip is worth accepting a higher price tag for the same tier of phone. We also have to address the group using hardware that is severely degraded or failing. This is the trade-off for the desperate upgrader. You are weighing the daily friction of a dying battery or a broken screen against the desire to wait for the next release. Instead of committing to a full upgrade, a battery replacement can serve as a strategic bridge. A new battery costs a fraction of a new phone and restores daily usability, giving you 6 to 12 months of time to decide on your next move. That small investment removes the pressure to make a rushed, expensive purchase right when the September marketing is at its peak. To find your best option, we map these factors against your situation. This decision tree identifies the right move based on your profile. First, the desperate upgrader. If you're on an iPhone 13 or older, or your phone has hardware damage, buy the iPhone 17 immediately. The hardware jump is already significant, and the 17 receives support through iOS 27 and beyond. Next, the base model buyer who is planning to wait for the 18. Secure the iPhone 17 now. You'll get pre-inflation pricing and avoid the multi-month wait for the spring release. Alternatively, wait exactly 5 weeks for the keynote to end. That is when carriers often offer deep discounts to clear inventory. Then we have the Pro buyer and the Fold curious. Wait the 5 weeks. You're the target audience for the 2-nanometer chip and the Fold, so see the official specs before deciding. Finally, the itch buyer, someone with a working iPhone 15, 16, or 17 who just wants an upgrade. Wait, you lose nothing by pausing for the event, as the information is free and your current phone is reliable. By following the path that fits your specific situation, you avoid the timeline delays and price increases meant for other buyers. There is one final rule of device upgrading that applies to everyone on this chart. Resale and trade-in values drop the moment Apple announces a new phone on stage, not when those phones actually ship. If you plan to trade in your current phone, lock in a quote with a buyback service now. These quotes usually hold your price for several weeks while you make your final decision. When you are ready to hand it over, ensure you wipe the phone's data completely rather than just doing a standard reset. The old rule to just wait for September no longer applies to everyone. Finding your specific path today is the only way to maximize your value as the launch cycle splits.